Now, Eric Kane, Locked On Vols, is here to discuss that man, Joey Aguilar. You and I both, I believe, liked the under in this game against Syracuse. We both thought Tennessee would win. We both thought Tennessee would cover. Good pick. We actually looked and sounded like experts for one particular game at least, Eric. But what stood out to me the most was, man, Joey Aguilar had a pretty seamless transition to being Tennessee's starting quarterback. Now, I'm not drawing widespread conclusions just yet because A, it's one game, and B, I have pegged Syracuse as a pullback team all offseason. I think they are fighting to be in the middle of the ACC. But you weren't playing Eastern Middle Tennessee Technical Southwest College Institute. Like, that's an ACC opponent. You were in a neutral site. There was a lot of attention in the offseason, and I was impressed with what Joey Aguilar did. What did you see?
First and foremost, I just think it's funny, man. You spend not all off season, I guess, from mid-April on. Not you specifically, but just in general, right? It's everybody's just dogging Tennessee. They're awful. Lost Dylan Sampson, lost James Pierce, Nico. The world's falling. This team is trash. Joey Aguilar ranked 15th out of 16, SEC quarterbacks, and then after one game, it's like, oh, Joey Aguilar guy's not that bad. Could Tennessee actually contend for a college football playoff spot? ESPN had Tennessee in the college football playoff projections on a Monday morning. It's just funny to me. But
ESPN is all over the place, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like some of the FPI rankings and whatnot, I'm just going, oh, I'm done looking at this.
I'll give ESPN credit there. The FPI rate, the computers have been high on Tennessee all offseason. Doesn't matter. It's the AP voters, it's the power rankings, it's the football projections and all that. But anytime ESPN puts something with Tennessee in the headline, I mean, you gotta milk that for what it's worth. But nonetheless, going back to what you said, it's one game, right? And I think Joey Aguilar did a fantastic job. I think the coaching staff did a really good job of, calling a game early on, getting him comfortable, getting him to display his strengths and kind of his skill set. He was cool, calm, collective. He stayed in the pocket. He took a couple of hits. Not many, a couple, stood in the pocket and all that. Never was sacked. He had good protection in front of him, but now, he looked good, man. He looked good running this offense. I think it was simple. I think it was needed. And he also benefited from that run game. Everybody's saying, how's Tennessee going to run the football, right? Dylan Sampson's gone. 246 rushing yards later against a Power 4 opponent. I think that answers that. So, no, it was good, man. It was good. It was one game. Tennessee will play one of those schools this weekend in ETSU. They should look good doing that. But, it gets real with Georgia in 2 weeks. But no, I thought it was a really, really good start. He's got to clean a few things up. That's expected. But, man, that offense looked fun on Saturday.
Yeah, it really did. And on my 5-point scale, this was a nice lean win outcome for Tennessee because it's a Power 4 win. You don't have a loss on the resume. You look the way you're supposed to. You played the way you should against a good opponent. I go no vibe for Virginia Tech because I didn't expect them to win that, or Syracuse, excuse me. I'm crossing my SEC, ACC neutral site matchups there for just a moment. But
same
I didn't
game too, same Aflac.
Yeah, the Aflac, yeah, and they say okay, yeah, I don't know why we're doing all this neutral site nonsense, but that's college football at the moment. So I didn't have huge expectations for Syracuse in this game. It looked about how I thought it would. I thought Angeli had some really nice moments. Jonte Cook was a big-time addition for them in the offseason that had some question marks because of off-the-field issues. He was one of the only reasons they moved the ball on this Tennessee defense at times. If he hadn't been there, I legitimately think the Orange score 10 points at the most. So I want to pivot into this discussion because you mentioned, ETSU this weekend. Okay, that's the game that no one's watching Tennessee, paying attention to them when they take the field. But Georgia is not that far away. Do you know enough about Joey Aguilar right now to say, hey, I feel confident that he's going to be able to take Tennessee and push for an SEC championship? This is an SEC, Eric, that feels wide open because, Georgia looked good in week 1 against Marshall. Whoop-de-doo. Okay? And Alabama, yikes. I mean, major yikes. And LSU looks very good, but we'll see. I was really impressed with their game against Clemson on the road. That was probably one of the better wins in all of college football this week. But Arch Manning has a way to go in his development. The conference championship is very gettable. Do you think Joey Aguilar can lead them there?
We'll see. I think the league is open. I think specifically at the quarterback position, we spend all offseason doing this power rankings and talking crap about this quarterback and this quarterback. I mean, the fact of the matter is the best quarterback in the league is Garrett Nussmeier, and then from a production standpoint and everything, but he might not be number one on a normal year. Arch Manning is got a ways to go. I think the potential's there. Sellers, way too inconsistent throwing the football for me. DJ Lagway, I think, is going to be a very, very good one, but still young in his career. There's obviously a couple other ones. John Mateer, let's see what he does against Michigan this weekend. But, Joey Aguilar is 24 years old. He's played a ton of football, and I think that from a confidence standpoint, what he can do in this offense, I think he should be in this conversation. However, again, it's just one game. To answer your question, have I seen enough? No, I've not seen enough. Tennessee's defense has still got to play a massive role. Tennessee's defense did not have a good second half against Syracuse because they kept dropping like flies, and there's potential now to where you're down your 2 starting cornerbacks when Georgia comes to town in 2 weeks, and that's not ideal. So I think if the offense is explosive and if you're getting those chunk plays and you're scoring anywhere around 35, 40 points a game, then you're going to have a shot to win almost every game you're playing, and especially if Tennessee's defense comes back getting 5 sacks like they did the other day. They scored on defense. We'll see what happens, but just one game. I don't want to crown anybody anything right now. I still know that there's some depth issues on this team at points and times, but overall, again, given the schedule, it's very manageable. There's no reason Tennessee can't contend to be one of the playoff teams from this conference at the end of the year. I've said that from the beginning. Again, this is a schedule that is very manageable. Defense is going to carry you a lot of times. Tennessee's going to run the football. If you get a quarterback in there that doesn't screw it up, you'll win a lot of games. And so far, Joey Aguilar is not screwing it up. He's exceeding expectations.
Yeah, I think they're one game. That's fair to say. I thought Tennessee would win, as I mentioned. Thought Tennessee would cover. I didn't think Aguilar would look that integrated into the offense with how little time he's really spent with all of these guys.
Both quarterback. You mentioned Steve Angeli. I was really impressed with Steve Angeli.
Yeah, I thought Angeli was good.
Yeah,
and we touched on this going into the game that it was a fascinating kind of background storyline for the diehards out there that Angeli was one of the guys that Tennessee reportedly considered, and you see why. I don't think that if you switch the quarterbacks in this game, the outcome is any different. I think it's probably exactly the same or pretty close to the same. But I do want to get real quick to the injuries that you mentioned, because if in a couple weeks Tennessee is missing 2 of its starting 4 or 5 defensive backs, that would be like major concern time, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's very alarming. So, you're probably already without Jermon McCoy for Georgia next week. We'll see what happens. He's slowly integrating himself back in there, doing some individual drill. I don't know if he's set to play in, it's a week after next. But, he's coming off that torn ACL. He's your All-American cornerback, probably a first-round pick. So we'll see exactly when he hits the field. Again, right now, I'd be surprised if that's for Georgia. Ricky Gibson, who's the starting quarterback on the other side, went down in the first half against Syracuse. And, in my opinion, he's definitely an NFL guy. Might be an NFL guy after this year. And Josh Heupel said on Monday that, hey, he's going to be out for an extended period of time. So that's not good. How big of the addition was Colton Hood, right? By the way, Colton Hood, the SEC Co-Defensive Player of the Week. Colton Hood, transfer from Colorado, sliding in there at one of those cornerback spots. And, that's good. The emergence of Ty Redmond, a true freshman who got 60 snaps against Syracuse. So Tennessee's in good hands, but again, you don't have your starting corners and 2 really good corners. So that's alarming. Tennessee also is down a couple of defensive tackles. And that's why I think in the second half, Syracuse with Yasin Willis kind of rained down Tennessee's throat there in the 3rd and 4th quarter because they were light in the tackle box. They didn't have many defensive tackles in there. So it's a little bit concerning for sure, but you got this weekend. I think there's any inclination that you're not 100%, you hold those guys this weekend against ETSU because you don't need any of those guys to beat ETSU. And
I hope
another
not.
week's worth of rest and kind of see where you're at heading into Georgia.
Yeah, one tune-up game before the Bulldogs come to town. What a sight that could be in not could be. Will be, because
it will be, yeah.
Yeah, that will be. I don't know where that could be came from. That's what we call a brain fart here on the show. Eric Kane, Locked On Vols, great as always.